Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. In this episode, we are going to talk about how people will always try to coddle you to make you feel better and how that is your recipe for being unsuccessful. So, when I am sourcing questions for our Tuesday night Q&A show, I normally get them from like Reddit and places like that and see the questions that are being asked, and then I will offer my perspective. So I try to avoid looking or reading the comments that other people make, but sometimes, if I'm actually going to answer one of the questions on the platform, then I might take a look at some of the comments to see, and then I might do the up arrow on some of them, right? But a lot of times, right? Depending on the question, you know, which we'll probably cover this question in one of our upcoming shows. But the to break it down, this someone said that they pretty much want to quit their field and go to another field because to put it to put it bluntly, they believe they suck at their job, right? And then one of the one of the responses was, don't be too hard on yourself. And I I disagree with that, right? I believe that you should be hard on yourself because if you are not hard on yourself, how are you going to get better? You know, if we don't tell ourselves the truth, then we're not going to get better. So if this person actually does suck at their job, right? And now you're saying, oh, don't be too hard on yourself. You're not that bad, yada, yada, yada. Then where's the room for growth, right? And there's no limit to how good you can become. See me? The way that I train myself is I am hard on myself because I continuously want to improve. There's always more that you can do. So when we get embraced with that calling mindset of, oh, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. Oh, it's it's not your fault. Oh, there's so many different external factors. It's this, it's the industry that's tough. It's all of that. Well, challenge yourself. Put in extra time. See, my goal and my desire is to always be the best. Am I that? I don't know, but I also don't care. See, because that is what I'm always working towards, to be the best. Working towards perfection. Is perfection attainable? I don't know, and I quite frankly don't care. But that's my North Star. Yeah, but if that is the goal, if that's the desire, won't you burn yourself out? Well, I'm ready to cross that bridge when I get there. But until then, I'm going to keep pushing, right? I'm not going to keep making mistakes and then have the mindset of, oh, I shouldn't be too hard on myself. No, I don't like making mistakes. To me, the only purpose of making a mistake is to learn from it, to fix it, and to find a way not to do it again. But the idea of, oh, I'm not going to be so hard on myself. No, I am. Because that's where growth comes from. That's where improvement comes from. When, when I look at sports, right? And you come up short. Sports team could be like, oh, we shouldn't be too hard on yourself. No, you got there were adjustments that needed to be made, and now you can go back and analyze those adjustments and then make them. But if you're not hard on yourself, and if you pass the blame off on, oh, the other team was better. Oh, this person was hurt. Oh, and you have a long list of excuses. Excuses is what keeps us from reaching our maximum potential. And because we're led to believe that, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves, that's why we make excuses, and that's why we continue to fail. That's why we continue to lose. See, I don't mind losing. The problem that I have is what comes after the loss. Am I going to do a self analysis? Am I going to do a self autopsy? Am I going to see, okay, what did I do wrong? What mistakes did I make? What do I need to improve on? What will I work on in the next week, 2 weeks, 2 months, so that I can fix it? My goal is to always fix it. But if somebody comes in and says, oh, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. And I'm like, yeah, because all of these external factors is what led to my downfall. So guess what? Now I don't really have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. There were external forces that I had no control over, and that's why I lost. That's why I sucked. So it's totally out of my control. See, I don't believe that anything is really out of your control. Even when external factors come in, I should have had a plan for that. I'll give a jiu-jitsu example, right? So we'll be in competition, and the referees, they see things from their perspective, while you might have your teammates, your coach, your professor, who's giving you instructions and cheering you on, who sees things from another point of view, right? So maybe something that the referee said happened didn't really happen as they saw it, but now that is the that it comes down to that, right? Of the referee's decision on why you lost, right? But for me, I'm always of the perspective of I shouldn't put the match or the game or whatever the case may be in somebody else's hands. You know, I should have been equipped to not to rely on somebody else's judgment. Because whenever you're doing something, you have to prepare for the external factors. For the person who's coming up against you, for the person who's moderating or refereeing, you know? It's like in basketball. When a last second shot or a last second turnover is made, and that's the ultimate reason. Or maybe the referee misses a call, right? Maybe they call a foul when it shouldn't have been a foul. Maybe they should have called a foul and they didn't. And they say, oh, it's because of this right here. See, I believe in having a plan to circumvent that. At the end of the day, it's your fault because you put your destiny in the hands of another person. And when it comes to that, you don't have it like you don't have any control of what other people do. And you should be hard on yourself because when you're hard on yourself, then you can analyze and see how you can fix it. Now, there's other people when they're hard on themselves, they quit and they run. But maybe they're not really being maybe they're not really being hard on themselves. Maybe they're running from the challenges and the problems and the things that they need to fix. And then they'll never grow. They'll always be weak because they avoid challenges. They avoid conflict. They avoid looking in the mirror, doing a self analysis to see, all right, what's wrong with me? What do I need to fix? How do I fix it? They don't set any goals. They don't set any time frames. They just float. And they say, oh, I've been doing this for 2 days and I'm not really good at it. I'm ready to move on to something else. One of the things that I really appreciate about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, right, is it can take you 7 to 10 years of consistent weekly training. And by weekly, I mean like 4 to 6 times a week to reach the black belt, right? For some people, it's a much longer journey. But the reason that I appreciate that is because it gives you at least 7 to 10 years of sucking. And, as the years pass, you suck less, right? But there's always going to be someone who's better than you. And that's the beauty of it, right? It's the learning part. If you encounter someone that's better than you and then you quit, instead of learning of, okay, this person's better than me, how can I learn from them so I can make myself better? Right? And I don't think there's ever a time where when you're like not gonna suck. You're just gonna continue to suck less and less and less and less. Right? On your first day, you might suck 100%. Right? And then once you get to a destination, you might suck, 10%. But you continue to get better. But you have to be hard on yourself to learn. And that's in everything. When you take your first, when you throw your first pass, when you write your first line of code, when you try to compile your first application and you get errors, that's a failure. But do you just quit because you got that failure, or you go back, you debug it, and you fix it? And I believe when you're hard on yourself the right way, you're more dedicated to being able to resolve your issues. And it means more to you. I think the advice that people give of not to be hard on yourself is bad advice. It's to make you feel good. But winning feels better to me. How do you deal with depression? For me, I'm like, well, what went wrong? It's all a mathematical computation to me, right? What went wrong? What do I need to do to fix it? And then I continue to make the adjustments until I get the result that I want. That's how I see it. I don't get emotional, maybe like in the moment of a loss or something not working, you might get frustrated and stuff like that. Take a step back, take a step outside yourself, do a self autopsy, do a self analysis, see what the root cause of the problem is. If you don't understand something, okay, I have to research it. I have to find the root cause. In the tech field, we call it, when something goes wrong, we do a postmortem. Do a postmortem on yourself. Figure out what the problem is, and then attack it. You have to attack it. You go after it, and you beat it, and you beat it, and you beat it until you mold it, and you shape it, and it gives you the outcomes that you want. That's what you have to do to yourself. And that's how you strengthen your mind. And through the strengthening of the mind, you will get the results that you want out in the world in anything that you do, whether it's jujitsu, whether it's sports, whether it's cooking, whether it's writing code, whether it's career development and advancement. But it takes you being hard on yourself to actually look at yourself in the mirror to see what's wrong with you, what's wrong with your approach, what's wrong with your effort. And then you go and you fix it. See, I believe the negative thoughts, the depression, the wanting to quit comes from the part of not getting a plan to fix it. If you just look at the problem and you have no plan to fix it, then yeah, you're not going to want to be hard on yourself because you're not going towards the next and final step of fixing the problem. But when you make a plan to attack and then you actually attack, that's when the results come in. And that's when things change. And then that's when you start to win. Going to get, going for the goal of getting 1% better every single day. Looking to win every single day. Set a goal. Set a daily goal. How can I get better by 1% every single day? And then you go in and you attack that. And then you do a reflection, a self-reflection, a self-analysis at the end of the week, at the end of every week, at the end of every month, at the end of every year, and see the difference that it made for you. See the progress that you made. And that comes from you being hard on yourself, from you taking yourself through the fire so you can mold yourself into who you want to be, into the victorious person that you created. Not by listening to people telling you not to be hard on yourself, but by you pursuing your goals which did require you to be hard on yourself because that's what made you push yourself to the limit. All right? So that's that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that you should not be hard on yourself? That you should quit and run away when things get tough, when things get hard, when things aren't going your way, when life is putting too much pressure on you? Or do you think you should stand up and fight? You should go to the drawing board, make a plan, see what needs to be done, and then you do it. You might not get it done by tomorrow, but you make a plan and you go from there. All right? Hopefully you found this talk useful. Let me know what you think. Really want to hear back from you. All right? Leave me a message in the comments. We'll talk again. But until next time, this has been another episode of Candid Conversations hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph. And until next time, this is Tech Coach Ralph signing off.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.